MikeBarbarossa, is how you say it.
Yes, sir.
We're generally just going to talk about veganism, I believe. So would you like me to start or say like my premise or my position first?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Go ahead and say your position.
Okay. Well, the way I look at it is, what if something was doing this to us? We wouldn't want it done to us, so we shouldn't do it to others.
Okay. You say that we shouldn't do it to them. We wouldn't want it done to us, so we shouldn't do it to them. Now, do we have some kind of agreement? It's kind of like a reciprocating agreement with animals that they won't kill us and we won't kill them.
They're incapable of agreeing to that, though. They don't have the mental capacity to.
Okay, so then we're kind of at a stopping point there, because that's something that really has to be. Like, for instance, are you one of the kind of people who feel that people who use animal products, they have to justify killing animals?
I think people have to justify anything that they do. And if they can't,
you say, that's you kind of made my point there. Is you have to justify every little thing that you do. Now, killing an animal is just one small part of the animal agriculture process. Do we have to justify breeding? Do we have to justify penning them? Do we have to justify clipping them or things like that? I mean,
of course. Well, like normal things, like I don't have to justify, getting out of bed in the day.
Yeah, that's kind of the point you did. You kind of have to justify things that you do, because that's not how we do things. Yeah, it's kind of a twisted.
It's like, yeah, sure. Someone might say, well, justify it. I mean, that should be easy then. You know what I mean? It should be easy to justify everything we do.
But here's how we do things. I kind of, and you might agree, but it kind of doesn't align with vegan ideology. But a person they have the freedom to do whatever they can do, right? Now, if it's something that, if you want to take away one of those freedoms, if you say something that I'm doing is wrong or harmful or something, it's up to you to justify taking away my freedom to do something like that, which is like anything. And that goes for, you have to justify, like, even things like slavery. Now that can be justified, but you still have that burden. If you come to a point in time where you want to take away a person's freedom to hold slaves, you have to justify why you want to take that freedom away. Okay. So you make that case.
Yeah. Just a bit curious then. You said like slavery could be justified. It seems a bit odd of a statement to me.
No, I'm saying for you to take away a person's freedom to do something, you have to justify why you have to take, why they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But vegans want to flip it on us and say we have to justify. You don't justify something that you can do. You have to justify taking the freedom away from someone. And I went over this with like the Vegan Gains, and when the Vegan Gains did a little debate with Matt Dillahunty agreed with me that before you take away someone's freedoms, you have to justify that.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well,
so the burden's on you to
I have to make an argument to you, is what you're saying,
to take away my freedom. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Like I still stick with my original position, saying you wouldn't want it done to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it done to me, so I'm gonna have to come with agreement. Like, let me kind of go over why people would justify taking away a person's freedom to murder another person. Okay, yeah. Let's say we would live in a world where murder's okay, and it's just whenever you can murder, wherever you can is okay. And so what happens in a world like that is that the strong men get together and they get weapons, they band together, they rape and pillage and take anything they want and kill anybody that gets in their way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pretty soon people get tired of that, of getting raped and pillaged, and they band together and they get their arms together and they fight the initial aggressors.
Yeah.
And they end up in war, and both sides are killing each other. Right. So how do we stop that? How would we stop that situation? You would have to get the two sides together and say, okay, I agree not to kill you guys if you guys don't agree to kill us, and then we should make an agreement that no one I don't kill you, you don't kill me in every single individual situation. That's the only way that works, is you have a mutual agreement. We don't have that agreement with an animal. Anytime an animal wants to, anytime that you swim in a crocodile infested waters, they're gonna come right at you, and they're gonna kill you whenever they feel like they need to. So we don't have that agreement with animals.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, animals aren't capable of entering in this sort of agreement, and now solely because they're not capable of negotiating in our language. Does that mean we should
Yeah, so
continue
that means we
exploiting
can't
them?
really.
No, here's the thing though. It's not the fact. The reason why doing harm to others isn't because necessarily they can do it back to you. It's because you know that doing harm will affect them negatively.
So when you say doing
why
harm, I guess you're talking about the slaughter, and then initially the slaughter, because they're taken care of.
causing them suffering. Yeah, the killing, essentially.
Okay, but we do bring those animals into existence, and so we're making animals. And do you think that the animals go through in animal agriculture, are they suffer any worse than animals out in nature?
It's a principal argument for me. Let's put it this way. Let's say, you had a bunch of I don't know, Aborigines or something, and they were living like quite bad, and then this like
But,
entrepreneurial person
but
came along, captured them, gave them a good life till they were 20, and then killed them and ate them. You wouldn't accept that, would you?
well, did he? We don't capture animals and kill them. We create them and then we kill them. So we're bringing these animals. Okay, let's go back to we're bringing these animals into the world. Are we giving them a life that is any better or quality of life that animals experience in the wild? Because usually when the animal has a litter of children, sometimes they're usually eaten alive. Little babies are eaten alive out of their den. That happens all the time. Like during this last brutal storm, millions of animals froze to death. It's just so we bring them a quality of life that is much better than they experience over the wild. They're taken care of.
Yeah, but like I said, like if we put that into the human context, you would reject it instantly.
Well, yeah, they're not in the human context.
No, but
Yeah, I would reject that instantly, because again, we're back to that agreement that I agree not to enslave humans, and humans agree don't enslave me. So I'm a human. So we're back to that agreement.
That's not why we do it. You don't.
So yeah, since we're talking about humans,
wrong.
which we are, then we have to abide by that too, and so we can't enslave. So no one can do that.
Yeah, but that's not why. That's not what makes it unethical, because it can happen to us. I mean, that might be a good justification to not do it, but that's not what makes it instinctively wrong to enslave another human. We know why it's wrong, because you're causing them to suffer. They can't. You're taking away their freedom. Now, yeah. Do you want to say anything to that?
Well, it's like I say, we create these animals, and then like this seems like the only process that you object to is mainly object to is the slaughter.
The slaughter and the breeding of into millions, just the overall exploitation of them.
Okay, yeah, but we create these animals. Like we're getting back to our freedom things. Of what am I going to be free to do? Can I make animals and give them the quality of life that's going to be similar to what they would get out of nature? And I also need food. An animal diet that's with animal product is much more an enriched diet than what you would get if you got to restrict everything. A vegan is a restrictive diet. Cooking with things like eggs and milk and butter and like that is so much easier. So much better. You can do so much better cooking. Any chef will tell you that.
That it's a restrictive diet. There's over 100 different thousand plants. I mean,
yeah, it's just veganism is nothing but substitution of what our visceral diet is. So why is it that humans can't have their visceral diet, and that's the diet that they want, yet any animal can go and eat babies alive? So why can they do it and we can't?
because they're not moral agents. They can't think about things in a subjective manner. They can't think about like philosophy or whether like doing something.
So just because we can think about philosophy and they can't, that's the reason for actual physical
no.
Real world action.
Let me finish. It's not just that. It's because a lot of them don't have a choice. They're essentially in a survival scenario out in the wild, and a lot of them are just strictly carnivores. So they need to eat meat. We're not in that situation.
So they can eat babies alive and they can make babies suffer. I can understand. Yeah. So can you imagine like people that lived 200 years ago, from the time period from 200 years ago to 100,000 years ago, those people that lived, weren't they under the exact same situation? They didn't know. They just knew they needed to get something to eat, and a lot of people starved. And so weren't they in the same situation as that lion? People who lived more than 200 years ago, before the Industrial Revolution, when people were just trying to get something to eat.
Yeah, I could say it's that would be a certain amount of justification to do it. That still wouldn't make it right or moral to do it.
Okay, but you just excuse the lion and everything else that it eats animals. But these people were just pretty much in the same situation. They don't have an industrialized world.
Yeah, no.
A lot of people, when crops failed, you had to eat something. You had to have something to back up to starve. And crops did fail. We didn't have pesticides back in those times, so we needed some backup. Back when everyone had farms, you needed some animals. You needed to diversify your food source so you don't starve through winter.
Yeah, no, I'm not like in the past. People did what they have to do to survive.
Yeah, they did what they did. Okay,
you would acknowledge that we're not in that scenario now, like me.
Okay, but I understand that. But so we're looking at a vast majority of mankind right there that are excused, just like the lion. And what about people like indigenous people and poor people there's a billion people on this planet who are relying on seafood. People who live on poor islands and things like that. They're justified killing animals.
Survival is a certain amount of justification to do immoral things. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's not survival. Some of them have to survive. Some of them it'd be great hardship if they had to cut out all their animal products. So it's kind of okay. So you're excusing 99.9% of the people who were born throughout history. You're excusing them to go ahead and kill animals, but not us here, just because the soybeans are around. All of a sudden,
I can't really excuse people that are dead living in the past, can I? I mean, they did what they did. It's nothing to do with me now.
Yeah, but so why are you vegans so concentrated on just this tiny? Why is most every single animal that's been killed throughout history is excused? But then you want to. You want to give the indigenous people their rights. You want to give the poor people their right. You want to pick on the people in the West, so you could reduce animal suffering, or
Well, there's
for so like 1%, I guess.
There's so many arguments for veganism, and they all come together.
So you think
if the West do go vegan,
the world would be a better place without alcohol, without veganism? Would the world? Let me rephrase. Would the world be a better place without animal agriculture?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Would the world be a better place without whiskey?
No.
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 No. Come on, be real. That's alcohol. I mean, come on. Let's get down to the real nitty gritty. I mean, alcohol it affects a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who suffer from alcoholism, and it causes a lot of problems, health problems. So don't you think that if we eliminate all the whiskey in the world, that people would be healthier? They'd have a much healthier lifestyle, just kind of like the vegans. But there's a problem there. It seems like you like whiskey, okay? But I kind of stopped you there. And that's
if whiskey
our visceral diets,
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the problem is people they have their freedoms and they want to eat animal products.
Okay,
and they enjoy their visceral diet.
Yeah, that has a victim though, doesn't it?
Huh?
It has a victim. The animal.
Well, the alcohol doesn't have a victim. We can eliminate the whiskey, and then we could. I mean, there's the wives and children of alcoholics.
Mm.
You can make alcohol illegal.
You can get pedantic like that about this sort of thing. I mean, but I don't think it's a comparable argument.
Isn't that where the freedom and people to enjoy what they want have to jive with? Well, the world could be a better place if we do X.
I'll explain it here. So, if we if I buy a barrel of whiskey, right? I've not paid someone to do something immoral. If someone drinks that barrel of whiskey and then does something immoral as a result of that, then that's all down to them. Or if they do something and cause themselves misery, that's all down to them.
Well, don't you think on vegan guidelines that all the isn't that pretty inefficient? All the wheat and barley and things that you have to harvest to just make a little bit of whiskey, isn't that extremely inefficient way to using? You see, you can use those vegan arguments on just about anything and say, but like I say, we're butting up against people who want to pursue their happiness and they want to eat their visceral diet, just like every person who lived from 2,000 years ago to 100,000 years ago, just like every single living creature on this earth has ever done since the beginning of time. So I just don't understand why 0.000000001% of beings living on this planet can't eat their visceral diet. Because you vegans, you use meat substitutes. You obviously want to eat meat, but you got this little moral dilemma going on. So that's our visceral diet. That's what we've been eating for centuries, and that's not appeal. That's just appeal to what we crave inside and what we want to eat. And we're going to make animals. We're going to give them a quality of life. We're not going to eat them alive when they're little babies. When during the slaughter process, they suffer terribly. They're knocked out, especially the beef cattle. They're knocked unconscious.
How much slaughterhouse footage have you seen of that? How much slaughterhouse footage have you seen of the stun guns being used?
I've seen enough. I'm against the halal beef and stuff like that. I think it should be the most humane and pain-free way possible. Now, slicing your neck open, bleeding out, believe it or not, it's not painful. If you want to talk about just pain, that's not painful, especially if you use a sharp knife. I don't know if you've ever been cut with a sharp knife. You don't even feel it. A quick cut with a sharp knife.
Yeah, no, it's the principle though. You wouldn't want to be killed, would you?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to be killed. So someone I would have to enter an agreement not to kill me.
Yeah. All right. Well, what if it's someone who is incapable of that? Are they okay? Are they fair game?
Yeah, they still have to enter an agreement. Yeah, they're not capable of. They're still not killing. Yeah.
So they're not capable of entering your agreement of not killing you. They're fair game to be killed.
The person, yeah, we have a collective agreement with the whole human beings. That's the only way we can do it. You have to be forced to do it, and it has to be universal. There's no other way to have that agreement. Any other way you slice it, we're going back to that chaos that we talked about. We're warring factions to get together and they see who can have enough weapons and they get to kill the other side.
Yeah.
So we have to have an agreement that even people, we got these, when you want to go to the retard argument, it's a collective agreement and it's the way it has to be. You can't. Okay, then you can't ask each individual person what they want to do.
And then, then it goes to species, doesn't it? You say, well, then because they're the same species, they're in our in group. So then we can just make a hypothetical saying, well, different species or different in group.
Yeah, it's whatever group that we can make an agreement with. Yeah, because that's the only way we can have an agreement to curtail freedoms. Okay, your freedom is going to be curtailed, and my freedom is going to be curtailed to do this because we both agree that it's wrong, and that's something we can't get agreement with collectively as an animal. But we can do it as humans.
Yeah, and that's not why we don't do harm to others. It's because they agree to not do harm to us. Yeah, we don't do harm to others because we know it's wrong to do harm.
Well, we agree it's not fair.
If I go and smash my table up, no one cares because it's incapable of experiencing any negative things, any negative experiences. If I go and stamp on a kitten's head, that is just, we know that's wrong because it can experience that negative well-being, that suffering. The only relevant thing that matters when determining moral consideration for others is their ability to be harmed. And if they can't be harmed, then it's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, stepping on a kitten's head serves no purpose.
Well, it could serve a purpose for the person who's doing it. They could find it fun.
Could find it fun?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we got to draw lines as far as things like that. Yeah, that's
Right. Okay. So you want some lines drawn, just not the lines that it's gonna
That's the only difference between veganism and non-vegan. We have a little bit different, slightly different line that being drawn, and your line is over to where you enjoy the fast travel of automobiles. So you get into automobiles, trains, and cars and things like that, airplanes, and, and that kills animals. So your line is over there.
Humans too,
huh?
Kills humans too.
Yeah. Well, that's a different situation.
You agree to that, don't you, Mike?
A human looks at the benefits of travel. They look at the risks, and then they decide that they want that benefit. That's the fallacy that you vegans use, is the whole automobile deaths. That's different from an innocent animal that was just walking across the road. He didn't know any better, and you squish him.
Is it different from the innocent child that walks across the road and gets squished?
The innocent child, yeah, that's something we do collective, yeah. There's a rare occasion that a pedestrian does get
that child hasn't agreed to anything, has it? It doesn't even know. What's going on.
Sure, no, the child doesn't know what's going on. No.
So it's in the same. So you agreed to that as well, and so do I. I'm not trying to shame you.
You're talking about accidents, though.
Yeah, I'm talking about accidents. When we kill animals using transport, that's accidents as well. No one's purposely doing it. The difference is intent.
You're in that line too. You're agreeing to transportation. So you're agreeing that child could possibly be hit. That's what I'm saying. The line has just moved over a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. The difference is the intent. You said it yourself. It's accidents. Now you can't compare that to purposely stabbing animals, because then the difference is intent. You've intended to do that. You haven't intended to do that. Sure, you might predict some certain outcomes, but what makes us consistent in this matter? Me consistent is I accept that. So, well, and you accept that as well.
Now, say it. Come on, go over that premise again. I kind of lost you there.
So the difference is intent. So you can't say it's okay to stab animals because vegans drive. We all drive cars.
We're talking about what we're going to in our life we're going to curtail to save some animals, and we would like to stop it at just eating them, but then not torturing them for pleasure, or fur coats or stuff like that. I mean, everyone has their different. Some people want to trophy hunt. Well, some people don't want to trophy hunt. That's a different line that's drawn as far as we decide that for killing the animals.
Say that again. Sorry. Oh, right. Yeah. No. Yeah. We were on that point.
I'm saying killing for food is okay if you raise the animal and that was its intent, but you can't dog fight. So that's where my line's drawn. But your lines, you're jumping over one, and just the food is where you draw your line before the killing of the food. I'm drawing after.
It's not where I draw the line. It's a principal argument. I wouldn't accept any of the animal agriculture arguments in any scenario to any being.
Well, we've already just went over. You accept it for just about almost every living being that's ever existed. It's okay for them to kill.
We can talk about now. I mean, I'm not concerned with things that happened in the past. Now, I hope you agree.
So wasn't that intent? Well, there's still indigenous people, and they're intending. So you can imply intent.
They're in a survival scenario, and at this present moment, I mean, we can deal with that issue later on. Right now we're killing billions of animals a year. The earth's going to shit.
We're making them born.
Yeah. We're making them born and then killing them,
and then they're living a life,
then killing them.
We're making them born. We're living a life longer and in better quality than live in the wild. Then we're killing them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an internal nightmare for them.
And so instead of the fly maggots getting their flesh, the most intelligent, most enlightened, most advanced animal on the planet is going to enjoy their meat, because the meats go to waste. I mean, they got to die, right?
Well, listen, right. First of all, the planet can't cope with that many animals. With this many animals, large animals that are making, it's just unsustainable.
Yeah, that's talking about overpopulation of human beings there. Yeah, we should do something about the overpopulation of human beings, because there's too many people to
there's
feed.
Not too many people. There's too many animals.
Too many animals.
Yeah,
too many. And animal agriculture, you mean?
In animal agriculture, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't everything that we do kind of affect animals?
Well, here's the thing: we already grow enough food to feed like over 10 billion humans, but we're feeding a lot of that to the cows and shit.
Yeah, because they say overall the animals have been cut in half in the last 40 years. They're talking about the wild animals. We fished out the oceans and things like that, and we deforested and all that stuff.
Yeah, but the oceans are really suffering. I mean, and I know it's massive, the oceans and that, and this, but like some people predict in the next 30 years, there could be a mass extinction because we're taking, all the certain type of fish that we eat, and then there's a chain effect. If there's not enough food for one animal,
Yeah, that's a good case for sustainable animal agriculture. There is, but all the things that we've done as far as humans increasing in population and paving everything over and pollution and all that costs animals their lives. Our existence costs animals their lives. See,
sure. So
no matter where we're going to draw the line. See, are we allowed to create our own animals, raise them, slave over them while they sit back and get fed every day? But then there's this bargain. In the end, they're not going to die. They're not going to die of old age slowly, and they're not going to be eaten. They're going to be humanely slaughtered, and that's just the agreement.
Why I brought up how many animals there is because I don't have too much of a problem with you saying, driving along the road and then you see like a bit of roadkill, you look at it and you think, oh, it's only been like an hour or so, or like half hour since it was here, taking it home and doing what you want with it because it's already dead. I don't see like anything too much wrong with that. I mean, some vegans might say, it's disrespectful and that, but the damage is done. So what I was saying, if you get the numbers down and we have like animal sanctuaries and stuff, I still don't find too much of an argument with saying when they naturally die, feed it to people who still want to eat it, but it's still kind of disrespectful to the animal. But I know I don't really have too much of an argument against it.
Don't we put most animals down that we raise and like pets and zoo animals and stuff like that once they get to the point where
when they're really suffering, it's still but putting a knife into like basically a baby's neck, I just can't see. I don't think you've got a good argument for that. You don't need to do it.
Yeah, what we've done with the animal agriculture is we've made use of their death. See, and if they're going to die anyway, at least we can have a useful process. It's just that if you just imagine me raising my own animals, I mean, that's my freedom. That's not something that you can come along and say something about. See.
The
only thing we can do is have agreements. The only thing, like I say, the only thing we can do is where each of us are free to do what we want to do. We have to have an agreement to curtail those freedoms, but it has to be a mutual agreement that both of us don't do it or all of us don't do it. It would be unfair if one person doesn't do it, another person does do it.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm over here. I'm not bothering you at all. I'm raising my own animals and I want to barbecue them once they get, big and fat and everything.
Yeah.
You don't have an argument to curtail, to come in and very tyrannically,
you shouldn't stop them.
Alter what I want to do with my life for my happiness. See.
It's not tyrannical. Me trying to just persuade you that it's wrong. Persuasion isn't. I'm not.
But you understand that those animals
don't come around and force people to do it, are they? We're trying to convince you of your own will to stop it.
I mean, and then the other thing that you vegans do is when we talk about that wolf taking down an animal, you say, well, he had to. It's unfortunate that little lamb had to die from that wolf, but gosh, he doesn't have any choice. Have you ever heard about returning the wolves to Yellowstone State Park? How absolutely beneficial that was.
Yeah, sure, because they were.
Yeah, there's a cycle.
Humans in the first place.
There's a cycle, and then when animals overpopulate, they have to be culled down somehow. It's a terrible thing.
Yes, you've got to do shit.
Okay, so we're dealing with the order of nature, where it's very, very natural for animals to be killed, and we're also dealing with my personal freedom, my pursuit for happiness. I want to raise these animals. I want to do with them what I want.
Okay,
and then now it's your burden to come along and completely handcuff me from what I'm free to do.
Well, here's the thing, though, Mike. If I was free to do what you're doing, and I just put it in the human context, well, it's my freedom to, farm these babies. They're all organic, treated well, but once they get to free, and you're here trying to come here and infringe on my freedom to cook baby flesh.
So you're farming babies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so you work hard on your baby farm all day, and so you lay your head down at night, and you wake up, and you're in chains. I've come along and I've chloroformed you now, and you're in my human farm, getting ready to slaughter you. Would you like that? And I gave you
precisely. You wouldn't like that either.
So we're kind of back to that fairness agreement. That's where morality is just a social structure. We have to come to fairness. It's only there's no, without it is chaos. There's no way mankind can advance without.
Well, I feel like you made a point against yourself then. Like you said to me, you wouldn't like it if you done it to me. But like that's what I'm saying to you. You wouldn't like it done to you. For that reason alone, it seems a bit hypocritical to do it others merely because they're capable of doing it to you. It's basically might makes right.
I'm not going to farm babies though.
Yeah, but neither am I. It was just a hypothetical. What I'm saying is your argument seems just a bit like might is right. I can do it to them because they're incapable of agreeing into an agreement with me. And it's not like chickens are going to do it to you.
Yeah, chickens would. If I was 2 inches tall, chickens would do them to me. The problem is we're a little bit too big, and have a little bit too much intelligent and manual dexterity for them to kill us. But if we've just made ourselves 2 inches tall, put ourselves in a barn overnight, the rats would most certainly kill us. A rabbit would kill us. They put rabbits. They released rabbits on an island, a desert, like a tropical island where there was no vegetation. And they came back to the island decades later, and those rabbits had adapted to meat eating because that was the only way they could survive.
Mm-hmm.
So even tiny little bunnies wouldn't hesitate killing us as soon as they could, and as soon as it was beneficial to them, they would kill us instantly. So that's the same thing.
To them. Yeah, that's the thing. They're not capable of realizing why that's wrong. You can't just appeal to them like not being able to think about things in the way we can, because we can think about things that way.
Well, as a serial killer, he doesn't realize. I mean, a very psychopathical serial killer, he doesn't realize what he's doing wrong. His brain is damaged. But we got to stop him there, don't we?
We got to stop him, but
Oh, but according to you, we should let him go ahead because he doesn't realize. That's the only criteria. Is he doesn't realize what he's doing is wrong.
No, yeah, we shouldn't. I'm against the death penalty. I know you're probably not. We should stop him from hurting people, but that doesn't mean we have to kill him. He's mentally ill.
No, shouldn't we stop the rabbit too and the lion?
No, because they're not hurting humans.
You just showed empathy for the life of the animal. When we bring that over to human form, you kind of disagree with it. but everything else you want to kind of anthropomorphize.
When you bring what? Sorry.
You say it's okay for an animal because they don't understand, morality. Well, I could say the same thing. Now we bring it over to human. What about a human that doesn't understand morality? If someone's severely retarded, got a hold of a gun, oh, let him shoot. He'd understand what he's doing is wrong.
No, that's ridiculous. If a lion was loose in New York City, yeah, tranquilize it, take it down, but that'd be much more preferable than shooting it in the head, wouldn't it?
No, they might not be able to tranquilize it. They've had to kill animals in that situation before.
If you have to in that sort of situation, then so be it. I'm perfectly consistent in how I think about this.
So you're saying that you're kind of putting a lot more value on humans' life than you are with. You're saying it's okay for the lion to kill the wildebeest, but not the humans in New York City. You kind of agree that humans should be protected.
Oh yeah, I do hold humans at higher moral value. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not that. It's not that. I mean, lions need to eat. The carnivores. There's no option for them. They're in a survival situation. There's loads of factors, and they can't think about this.
Yeah, we need to eat too, and
yeah, but we don't have to eat that food.
Yeah, we could capture all the lions and feed them tofu. They could probably survive.
I don't think they do too well.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would say eating a vegan diet wouldn't do too well when they really just don't crave that stuff at all. I mean, part of being able to stuff down some food is you got to actually enjoy eating it a little bit.
I enjoy food. Trust me, I could make anything you like your favorite food. I can make that, and you'd be like, "Oh, this is the tits." This, like, I can make vegan burgers, lasagna, shepherd's pie.
That stuff's that highly processed soy that you
come on, mate.
The highly processed soy that you made into animal product simulation, because you do have a visceral craving for that type of food. So why not raise that food?
Why not raise
it? Give it an animal, which is going to have a better animal life than it would have in the wild.
Because you have to stab it, don't you?
Just a quick death. It's an animal. It doesn't understand. It just lives. It just stares into the abyss and eats grass all day. Then one day his life's over.
Yeah, no, it's the principal argument. What if a creature was doing this to us? You know what I mean? Like, again, like the alien scenario. Aliens come around.
Yeah, we can defend ourselves because
it's not the point, though, is it? Just because what if we were incapable of defending ourselves? That's not the essence of the issue.
The issue
is that it is unethical to do this to another living being.
It's as far as someone doing that to us, we don't have an agreement with any type of being, so it's up to us to defend ourselves from that. Yeah.
So might makes right. Is this basically your argument? Might makes right.
No, not the might makes right, but before you take anyone's or anything's freedom away, there has to be a mechanism. There has to be a reason. There has to be an agreement. There has to be some kind of, end game to all that. See, not might makes right.
So you still want me? You're not happy with any of the arguments I've made so far for saying you shouldn't do this to animals, Mike? And you still want me to basically make a better argument?
Yeah, as to why I should take my freedom away to eat my visceral diet, to do what I've done, do what we've done for centuries, and
Yeah. Well, for one, how long humans have done it is not really like an argument to carry on doing it.
That's not how you carry on this argument why we want to do it, because it's in our nature. Yeah. So now it's a freedom issue since we want to do it. Now it's an issue of should that freedom be curtailed? Is there a strong enough reason to force the hand of someone else who just wants to pursue their own life and their own happiness?
Yeah, here's the thing though. What about the freedom of that animal? Surely you're infringing your freedom on that animal. I mean, the freedom
on its freedom to exist. The reason it exists is because of me. The reason it's fed every day is because of me.
You wouldn't accept that in the human context.
There's kind of a Yeah, that's because of course. So we went over that. That's why we've got to have an agreement.
That'd be a different justification. You're saying, well,
it's according to you.
rights.
Humans are millions of times more. A human is more valuable than a million animal lives, right?
I don't know for sure, like what number I'd put on it.
You don't. Yeah, but you would. You kind of agreed a little earlier that the people are indigenous who they could, they have to kind of harvest off the land. They don't have money to go down to the grocery store. You excuse them, right? So someone who lives on an island and the only thing they could eat is shrimp their entire life. They live 80 years.
Yeah.
That means that millions of animals have got to die to sustain this one human being, and you're excusing that.
Sure. Yeah.
That makes humans infinitely more valuable than an animal, according to vegans.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he has certain justification to do that. I still think it's an immoral act.
It's an immoral act to survive, really?
No, not surviving. The surviving is not the immoral act.
Well, he's kind of like I say, he's kind of on the same plane as that lion. He's just doing what he can do to feed his belly.
Precisely. When a lion rips open a baby gazelle, I mean, I can't say that is perfectly moral for him to do that. But then again,
morality it's not a moral issue there, I don't think.
Well, he needs
morality is something that man invents. Morality is something that man gets together and he thinks about and he debates and he decides for his own little world what's moral and what's immoral. It has absolutely nothing to do with the natural world.
Yeah, but I don't think you're looking at this like outside the box enough. Like, if creatures were doing this to us, you can't just say, "Oh, well, we'd fight them." Like, that's not what I'm asking. That's not like what I'm trying to get to you. We would think that would be incredibly immoral of them to do that to us. Like, you know what I mean? And even if like we went like out into space in like 1,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, you're trying to move that over, like, and that's kind of ask yourselves in his failed name the trait is trying to move that over is to where take our value for humans' lives and move that over just because the sentience is matching. And yeah, it did not. Like I explained why his fails because 99.9999% of all humans are exempt. And that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we got to have.
Oh no.
And here's the thing: name the trait works, and it is consistent. There's only one thing you have to fix. You can't excuse that indigenous person or that poor person. You got to say that every single animal, no matter how starving, no matter how, because you've now jumped over to giving them the same value as humans do their sentience. But we do everything we can to save a human, so you're gonna have to do everything you can to say that. You can't just take that and parse it. And so I get accused of not understanding name that trait. No, I understand it completely, but I'm implying it at a consistent basis and not this gerrymandered vegan type of
that's bullshit.
conclusion. That's why name the trait is fatally flawed, and you kind of don't hear about it anymore.
No, that's bullshit. I've said that eating the man on the desert island who captures shrimp, I've said his acts are not moral.
No, you're trying to
justification to do that because he wants to survive, and like I can't knock someone for saying I want to survive. Same way.
What's immoral about someone surviving like that? Can you elaborate a little more about what exactly is the morality?
The surviving is not immoral, but the actions to survive are immoral.
Well, how's that immoral? Can you explain just how that is as a person just doing whatever he can to survive, just like every other creature that's ever lived in the last 5 billion years?
Let me put it in this scenario. If I was on a desert island with a bunch of midgets, there was only enough food for one fully grown person. So then I picked up a stick and started beating all the midgets up until they were dead. Would that be moral? I want to survive, but
no, that it wouldn't be immoral for them to gang up on you and beat you up. So because you're so bigger and you have so much more demand on the food.
Yeah, well, they're incapable. They're only a foot tall, so I'm just like booting them around and doing all sorts of things, killing them. I mean, I'm doing it to survive, but is that moral?
Why would you? Why would you? No, that's not. You're not doing. Killing those midgets didn't do anything to help you survive.
Yeah, it did. Then I've got all the food. There's not enough food for everyone.
Well, that still didn't. It's you're getting the food. It's not being able to get the food. It's going to kill you, not beating everybody up like that.
All right, you're missing the point. Right, the action to survive. I've killed them all, so I can survive the same way the man is killing all the shrimp to survive.
Well, your scenario, you didn't have to kill them because they were immortal. You could have just taken all the food for yourself. You could just take all the food for yourself.
Right, so you're trying to pick apart the hypothetical. You know what I'm getting at? You know, we can magic all that away.
Yeah, I'd do it. Would it be immoral to kill? Yeah, it'd be immoral to kill the midgets, I guess, yeah.
But there's a certain amount of justification to do it, kind of. Well, I don't know. You can understand why someone would decide to, go on and.
But that's just kind of we agreed to. It's a human being, so it's 1-to-1 rather than 1,000,000 to 1 when we're talking about animals.
Yeah, well, the act of killing is immoral. Let me ask you. I don't know if you've got kids or anything. Let's say if you did, and one was outside, and there was just like a bunch of ladybirds. I don't know if you have ladybirds in your country. And she was there, and she was just splattering them all with her finger. Would you just like let her carry on, or would you say like something like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't do that," or anything like that?
No, I couldn't. Your kind of accent, I couldn't quite understand what you said there.
So, say if you had a child and the child was, just squishing like insects outside, would you stop her, or would you like just let her carry on, or would you like try to explain like a lesson about like why you shouldn't like harm others?
Yeah, yeah, you could say that. You could say, yeah, that's kind of needless killing right there.
And like the only argument that you don't think that killing meat is needless is animals. Sorry, is because you get meat from it.
That was killing for entertainment. There's what that would be if you're just kind of squishing bugs because
it's fun. Yeah.
Which I've already gone over. That's the line that most of us draw. That
we kill animals for sport.
We kill animals so we can have roadways, so we can have, we can have meat. But then we cut off the entertainment type part, But we used
civilization, yeah.
But we all have our own moral lines. That's what I was trying to say. Is morality is just something that you come up with in your head. That's why that's why you think it's immoral to kill for food, and I don't think so. But I think it's immoral to kill for entertainment. Well, we both don't think it's immoral to kill if an animal is attacking us and trying to kill us. We both think that we can kill that animal. So we're just drawing a little bit different lines. So since
it'd be preferable not to kill the animal, or would they?
The what now?
It'd be preferable to not kill the animal that was attacking you.
Preferable to not kill it. Like if there's a way that I could not be killed, I could defend myself without killing it. Yeah, I don't know. You could argue that because if we got an animal that's deadly and is attacking humans. We can make the argument that it needs to be put down. That's what we do in society.
Oh yeah.
Any animal is dangerous like that, we put it down.
We'll just relocate it to further away. I
was kind of going on the scenario that the only choice we have. We got a knife in our hand. And
If you in that scenario, I agree. You defend yourself. But yeah,
killing itself is not immoral. It's something it's just something that's comes. It's just part of the natural process, and that's not an appeal to nature. It's something that absolutely has to be done for animals to survive, for all living beings to survive. Everything in the ocean.
Yeah. At one point, but now, not so much. Especially, we don't have to intentionally kill things anymore to survive. Yeah,
just like living plant things. Yeah.
Plants
are alive. Yeah.
Plants are alive, but You don't think they can suffer, do you?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I don't think they suffer now. I mean, they have certain intelligence, but like I say, we and here's the thing about vegans. Vegans, if you got someone who's severely in a vegetative state, and maybe you think about pulling the plug, the vegans are the first to pull the plug on that sucker. You know why?
Why?
You know why? Because you make the argument that the plants they have no thought process at all, so it's okay to go ahead and kill them. Okay, what about that person that's in the vegetative state?
Oh,
vegans say, yeah, pull that plug.
No, that's not true.
Just so they could be consistent. They're the first to pull the plug.
The difference between a plant and like someone in a vegetative state is because, well, there's a few things. First of all, previously, before it was in the vegetative state, it wasn't in a vegetative state, and secondly, it might have the person might have a chance to recover. So there's a lot more factors into whether making a comparable.
It's the same thing as a retarded person. You got to make the. Well, is it okay to kill a retarded person? Well, that retarded person, we could have a cure, and they could come back to normal.
Yeah, but in the hypothetical, if we're saying animals to retarded people, we're gonna make it so they're exactly the same, just humans that except for humans that are not capable of or just basically, we can hypothetical everything like that away.
There's very nuanced. There's we go from people that when they get into a vegetative, like they're brain dead, their brain actually turns into pudding. When someone is on life support, there's absolutely no reason at all to keep them alive. You might as well just they're actually dead, but the machines are keeping things pumping. This is basically the situation. But then there's all kinds of there's someone who's kind of in a vegetative. Someone can move his arm a little bit, like the lady in Florida that they had a big debate. I don't know if it was about 20. That's been about 20 years ago, where she'd been in a vegetative state for decades and. I think the husband, what was that situation? The husband wanted to pull the plug on her, but she could, if you put light in her eyes, she would move her head a little bit, that was like the big debate.
Right.
There was a big debate on that, whether it was morally the thing to do to pull the plug on her when she would, have this little bit of, response.
I mean, yeah. So, like, you think it's up to me to convince you because you've got these already pre-existing rights to do these things.
I just got a freedom. There's things I'm capable of doing, and I want to do them, and I want to pursue my happiness. Now you got to take your morality and thrust it onto me, and make me live the way that you've figured out in your world. How things should be, and I got figured out how things I should be. Now you want me to, dictate yours to mine? Yeah, that's your burden. I don't have to justify killing an animal that I raised.
Okay. Well, I kind of feel like you do really, because you're the one who's doing the action. It might be your rights, but that's like saying.
I say every action. You got to justify tying your shoe. You can't justify every action. That's insanity.
But it's your action against.
It's up to you to tell me if it's harm or not.
Yeah, it's your action that is involving another creature, a victim.
A creature? Yeah, there's a lot of creatures. There's a lot of ants and insects, and
I don't know if you're being pedantic now. There's a victim, isn't there, involved?
No, I mean we're jumping from human beings. And then having protection on other living things, and I don't understand the vegans just wanting to laugh off the insect argument, where they're shown to be every bit as sentient as animals.
Well, it's debatable how sentient insects are. A lot of people think that they're
sentient is not a justification for something that is alive, whether you should take that life or not.
Well, it is, because if they're not sentient, then they don't really experience things in a subjective way.
they were still alive though. They were, I mean,
yeah, but being
they
alive,
existed. You crushed them out of existence, and just because there wasn't a brain that had felt this little, you know, this little sensation from a nerve that it didn't like, which is that's all pain is.
Well, that's fine.
It still lost its life.
I'm agnostic if insects are sentient, so
I
give them the benefit of the doubt because
let me give you a situation. I'm going to try to figure out what you hate worse: the suffering of death or you losing your life. Okay, let's find out which ones you. Okay, I'll say I got superpowers, and I've got you held down with my force, and I give you. There's nothing you can do. You know, whatever I can do. And so I'm going to give you two choices. I'm either going to end your life, and it's going to be completely painless. You're just going to unconscious, you know. And you're not going to be like, that's a choice I get to is I'm going to kill you painfully 10 times. I'm going to throw you off a building. I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to chop your head off. I'm going to hang you by the neck. And it's going to be pretty awful. But at the end of that, killing you 10 times, I'm going to keep bringing you back to life. And after I've killed you 10 times, you've gone through all that pain. You can now go about your life, and you'll be perfectly healthy and you'll be fine. You just went through a horrible deal of 10 deaths. Which of those did you choose?
All right, I don't know where you're going with this, but I'm interested in.
Well, just go ahead and answer
it. I'd choose probably the ones that suffer.
Suffer, okay. So, but that's your whole criteria. These plants don't suffer, but again, we can take that. We can take you're concerned about losing your life. That's your most important thing. Now let's put that over to the plants.
No, I've chose to suffer and stay alive.
Okay, can't we project that onto the plants since they don't have a brain to think? We can figure out that they would want to live. They actually do defensive things to live.
Yeah, but they're incapable of suffering.
Yeah, suffering, but we're talking about them losing their life, which was you were so much more concerned than trivial, a few hours of trivial suffering, which is going to be over in a few hours. And
yeah, but their life is meaningless to them because they don't even know the.
We could say the same thing for a cow. He really doesn't understand. Not. He's just going by instinct.
Cows are quite a fairly high up on the sapient level. They're not fully sapient, but they're pretty high.
Yeah, they just kind of go through their life and they don't have any kind of purpose. They're just existing, I mean,
it's their life.
When they die, they're clueless. I mean, when we knock them unconscious to render their beef, they really just don't. They don't suffer. They just get knocked out.
They do suffer. A lot of the times that doesn't even work, and they know what's happening. They are insanely scared. They know what's happening. They see the.
No, they're just going. You're bringing them to a new environment, and they're a little bit jittery. Yeah, I mean, you can't get inside the cow's head, so they're scared for a few minutes. I mean, it's not the most
escape.
Evil thing in the world.
I've seen the cows try and escape, and some almost get away.
Oh, they do that all the time. They try to jump their chutes. I mean, you transport them. They do the same thing. If you transport them from one acreage to another, they'll try to jump the chutes like that. That's you're kind of projecting. No,
I've seen them when they'll usher them down like a narrow passageway, and then they'll kill them one by one and put them in like a machine, and then they'll get them over. And then you can see them like trying to like back off and like they don't want to go down that way, and like that's because they're scared.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for cows. They're not completely cooperative. You're gonna kind of nudge them along. Yeah, we don't know. They don't know what's going on. They're no. There's noises.
I can make reasonable deductions to come to my conclusion that they are terrified. I mean, it's not such an insane prospect to say like animals feel emotions like fear. I mean, I know a dog certainly does.
Are they terrified, or are they just a little skittish and a little nervous, a little bit scared? We don't know, right?
But yeah, I mean, it sort of brings it home a little bit more, though, doesn't it, to you? Like that we're actually, that these want to live. They don't want to die, do they?
So if they want to live, then animal agriculture is their answer, because they would otherwise they would not exist. So they get their life because of animal agriculture. waited on hand and foot.
Yeah, you wouldn't accept that for me.
Much better life. Much better life than what they would do as an experience as a natural animal.
Nah,
you wouldn't. In the wild.
You wouldn't accept that with my baby farm analogy, though, would you? You'd come and probably do me harm if I was doing that. You know, you wouldn't accept the babies. Everything you just said, put it in the baby context. You would, we've already established you wouldn't accept that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, is Vohan your name? Vohan, yeah. So it's spelled Vohan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going here. I just thought I would. It's been good. We'll do this again sometime.
Okay.
I appreciate you having me on and debating this topic. I know it's important to you, and it's hard to find someone to debate against the vegan perspective because people, they don't want to do it. So
yeah, no, I mostly just go randomly try and find people now. But thanks for coming on then, Mike. I understand it's quite hard to convince you of anything when you've been doing something your whole life. I mean, it's quite hard to do that. But yeah,
I think we're just dealing with morality. It's just like, again, if you look at morality, what it is at its core, which is just us coming to our own conclusions in our heads, and you've got your mind and I've got my mind. Okay, we've just got a little different views on the whole thing. So yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Cheers for coming on then.
Okay. Right. Thanks, Vohan. I appreciate it.
No worries. Bye. I'll just read the chat quickly. Yeah, no, I'll go through what I think about how it went on another day. I'm not going to go through it now. I have a bit of grace about to Mike. I'm not going to start saying shit now that he's left. Yeah, guys. So that was that. It was kind of just both us saying what we think. It was less than like a formal debate. It was more just like, he thinks this, I think that. I think I made more sense. But that's all I'm prepared to say about the matter now. So that's that. I'll see you next time when I get to bed, guys. It's pretty late here. See you later.